Rager does use a lot of prayer points, but it speeds up the kills, which is going to make up for the money in the long run. When you first walk into the room, as with all God of War's dungeon bosses, the first kill is likely to be the most hectic since the monsters will be in random spots in the room. As soon as Commander Zilyana can see you, you want to start running around the room, specifically away from her. Again, at first, it may be a little hectic, so you might have to run for a few seconds before you actually get a chance to attack, while you still avoid them. You can attack twice on each wall, once in the middle and once in the corner, and it really is just as simple as this. Run around and kill her. You're protecting from the Major, running away from the boss and Starlight, and currently only tanking the Ranger, which has a max hit of 16, so you're pretty safe. One thing to be careful of when running around the room is clicking too far up in the wall or even into the black abyss around the room. If you click up on the wall or further out, it doesn't register as a click at all, and your character will stop running soon, which is a good way to take a lot of damage, so try to be kind of precise and make sure you're clicking on the floor. When you first start fighting Saradomin, you might be making some mistakes. Outside of clicking on that wall, you could find yourself clicking on the minion instead of the boss. This isn't detrimental to your kill, and it'll even help you get through the minions faster, but overall, you're going to get used to landing the boss each time that you attack. Practice does make perfect. Keep in mind, if you're not flicking your prayers, you have a little bit of leeway when you attack the boss, and by that I mean you don't really have to click on the boss on a specific tick. You have a few ticks to do it while you can still avoid damage, and because of this, you can take an extra second to make sure that you got the boss instead of the minion when you try to click on it. If you need a sip of stamina potion, you want to do it at the beginning of a fight rather than midway through when you're running low on energy. The stamina effect will slow down your run energy drains, so you want to be standing around for as little of that effect as possible. It is better to sip a stamina late in the fight than it is to run out of energy overall though. Purple sweets can help you out with run energy too, giving 10 energy per sweet. Eating food delays your attack by a few ticks, but you can still manage to eat a purple sweet. Sarah's getting pretty close. You run, go attack once, time to attack them. Try to emergency. Some run energy and process from here. Again, purple sweets are expensive, so try to only eat them when you need some run energy and she's at low health, or if you're out of food and it's a super emergency. Once you've killed the boss, you want to take out the minions as soon as possible. I normally start with the melee minion, then the ranger, then the major. I also use my blowpipe spec on the major to hopefully heal up a little bit when needed. You have a minute and a half to kill the minions and prepare for the next kill. After the minions are dead, you can pray at the altar, but it does have a 10-minute cooldown. You can also teleport out of the room by right-clicking on this altar. You can turn any bones that they drop into peaches for extra food, plus the minions sometimes drop monkfish, which is helpful for a lot of food. The boss has a prayer potion drop and a drop that'll give you brews and restores, which will help out with the longer trips too. I try to stand on the south side while leaning a little bit east to start the fight. As soon as the boss spawns, I attack it once and then start running west. When I hit the west wall, I'll attack again, maybe wait a second if the boss is still a little too far away, and then proceed to run clockwise around the room and start the whole process over again. You can start in a few different spots. You don't have to specifically be on one square. As long as you start running around the room away from the boss and the melee minion, you're going to be fine. But if you're trying to flick minions during the fight, it can be helpful to be a little more precise, of course. You could just wing it, honestly, and still get 20 kills per trip if you had solid gear. You don't have to be perfect in here. Each of the minions attack every 5 ticks, which is actually pretty slow in general, so it makes them some of the easier monsters to flick in the game. If you're just starting out Sarah or God of War's Dungeon in general, you might not want to try to flick your prayers, but it is very worth learning in the long run. Any of the minions that aren't attacking at the same time can be protected from. The unicorn's going to headbutt you for its attack, the ranger will shoot its bow for its attack, and the major starts to yell. You'll see a little white aura begin to fire out from him. Your prayer needs to be on the same tick that you see the attack stars. So, if you're looking at the ranger and it begins to shoot its bow and you have not yet clicked your protect from range, it's already too late. This means you have to keep track of the timing and click your prayer 1 tick beforehand. But if flicking the minions does seem like too much, you don't have to do it. It's just going to save you a lot of food in the long run. If 2 minions are attacking you at the same exact time, you can step under one of the minions before it attacks just to delay it for a moment. This requires you to click under the minion 2 ticks before it attacks rather than 1 tick. When you start trying to flick the minions, you might want to ignore getting them off tick until you're more comfortable. If they're attacking at the same time and you're a beginner, you probably should just tank one for now, but it's always worth a shot trying to run under them. I wouldn't really try to protect from all 3 minions right out of the gate either. I started off by only flicking between the ranger and the major while just tanking the melee as I killed it as soon as possible. Once I felt comfortable protecting from both the ranger and the major though, I would throw the melee protect in there too just to get some practice. When I run out of supplies, I do bring my alt account to give me more potions since it takes a lot less time than teleporting out and coming back to get 40 kills. Since you do kill 4 Ceradomin monsters per boss kill, you only need 10 boss kills to get a high enough KC to walk right back in the room after you teleport out. It's not needed to have an alt account that can get into God of War's dungeon, but it's going to speed up your kills per hour, and it's going to help with profit, which will take us into the next section. If you have any questions on how to kill Sarah, be sure to leave those in the comments section below. Alright, now let's go ahead and get to the best part, the loot. When sitting down for a long camping trip, I expect about 20 kills per hour at Sarah. You can definitely do a little more, like 23 to 24, but for beginners and anybody who needs to bank more often in general, I would expect even less, so we'll range from 8 to 20 kills an hour while we discuss profit in this section. The notable drops from Ceradomin include the Ceradomin hilt, Armadyl crossbow, Ceradomin sword, and Ceradomin's light. The hilt and the crossbow are each a 1 in 508 drop. The Ceradomin's light is about twice as common as those, and the Ceradomin's sword is about twice as common as the Ceradomin's light. This means if you got everything on the drop rate, at 508 kills you'd have 1 crossbow, 1 hilt, 2 lights, 4 swords. Currently, those items add up to about 66 mil, which is actually lower than normal, but prices always fluctuate. At 20 kills per hour, you would get 508 kills in about 25.5 hours. 66 mil in 25.5 hours is a little over 2.5 mil per hour. There's other drops outside of the rare stuff, of course, and they tend to add up to right about the same amount of money as I'm bringing in supplies. But at lower levels, you're going to be spending more money on supplies. There are going to be shorter trips and whatnot. So if you're only getting those 8 kills or so per hour, it's going to take a little over 60 hours to get that 66 mil, which is just over a mil an hour minus the supplies. A mil an hour is doable at your lower levels, but maybe more like 800k an hour should be expected. A lot of this does depend on your gear and levels, obviously, but RNG can play a big factor since all of these numbers are based on getting the item right on the drop rate. So if you get really lucky, you can make bank. If you get really unlucky, you're still going to profit, most likely, but not as much.